Hi, everyone. I'm Kyler with another episode of The Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here with Ant Martland, Director of Marketing and co-founder at GymNation. GymNation is United Arab Emirates' first affordable and flexible gym chain. Based on a strong belief that health and fitness should be affordable and accessible to everyone, the founders at GymNation decided to create a gym with a membership that would encourage users to enjoy fitness rather than seeing it as such a financial burden. In the UAE, the average gym membership costs about 90 euros per month, which I had no idea before this interview how expensive that was. And you have to pay for the year usually upfront. So the demand was definitely there for people who wanted to be fit, but it also kind of presented this burden for people who couldn't afford it. But GymNation has emerged as a leader in their industry, offering affordable fitness, especially in terms of marketing, with many of their campaigns going viral. So we're going to dive right into it and learn more about how marketing has helped GymNation to revolutionize health and fitness in the United Arab Emirates. So without further ado, thank you so much, Ant, for joining us today.
Thanks, Kyler. Thanks for having us. Good afternoon, everyone. Or it's good afternoon here. Might be good morning where you are.
It's noon.
But yeah.
And the Spanish people have a weird concept of like, as when you eat lunch at 2 p.m., then the morning's over. So we're still in morning.
Normally a nap. Normally a siesta around now as well.
Yeah, siesta is like usually like 2 or 3, but actually in cities like Madrid and Barcelona, we don't have it, which is kind of a shame. I used to live in like smaller parts of Spain, and we would have like everything would shut down after 2, from 2 to 5. So you have to leave work, go home, eat, and actually I would take a nap, which sounds like, like stereotypical of, oh, Spanish people take naps. But I did take a nap, and then you had to go back to work after, which kind of sucks. But it was actually a nice time to take a pause in the day. But Madrid, we're kind of this full functioning city that we work normally. But so as I said before in this really great introduction, I'm really fascinated to learn more about your work in the UAE with fitness industry, and also with GymNation and kind of marketing, and how that's all helped kind of share your name and make you one of the most successful gym franchises in the UAE. But first, can you tell us a bit more about who you are and kind of how you got into this marketing and the UAE and where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born a while ago now, 1988, in a town called Southport in the UK, which is nestled just between Manchester and Liverpool. Mm-hmm. So lived there or around there till I was about 9, 10. And then my mum, she joined the Royal Air Force. She we wanted to go as well, but my brother and I off to boarding school, which was just on the Welsh border there. So we, myself and my brother were there from then till 18, 19, left there. And then I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do next, straight into work or university. I took a decision during my kind of gap year to not go to university, go straight into work. So I got accepted onto an accounting kind of graduate scheme or non-graduate scheme, pre-graduate scheme with one of the big 4, and was about to start that literally a week or 2 before that. Kind of had jitters and thought, is this really what I want to be doing for the rest of my life? Decided against that, and then very quickly decided to go to university, and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do at university again, but I did want to keep it quite general, give me options in the future. So I went to the University of Leicester and did business management, which was a mixture of everything from, a marketing emphasis to some finance in there, strategy, 3 years of kind of everything that you could encounter within a business. So I think that put me in good stead for kind of where I am now and having that all round exposure. I guess my first interaction with marketing probably came in my last year at uni. So myself and still one of my best friends to this day, Billy, we were both in charge of, within the university rugby team, we were both in charge of doing the orders for the team kit and team training kit. And at that point, it was all on paper. So, we'd say, okay, what shorts do you want? What T-shirt you want? We'd write down, right, James wants a medium. He owes X amount of pounds for that. James would obviously then come back the day after and say, no, he wants a large. And it was just an absolute nightmare. So we thought there's got to be a bit of a better way to do this. So we approached a large local kind of sports independent retailer and said, we'd like to set up an online platform where all of our university can order through. We just send them a link and then they put in their order, typically like you would do on an e-commerce store now. There's no kind of human interaction. If they want to change your order, they do it online. so we did that. So we managed to get that up and running for our own team, and then very quickly reached out to other teams within Leicester Uni, other teams within the region, and that became, at the time, it was the kind of UK's leading, I guess, university teamwear store. And we very quickly, on top of that, realised, okay, they don't just need team kit, they need, football boots, rugby boots, they want Under Armour products, they want other sports stuff. So we reached out to those big companies, the Under Armours, the Adidases, the Skins of the world, and started buying products from them as well. Mm. And we weren't just buying. The important thing about that was that we were able to offer student discounts on a platform. So it was a platform by students, for students by students. So when you entered it was NUS card number into the checkout page, you would automatically get a normally 15 to 20% discount off some of those big name products, which they didn't give permission for any of the big retailers to do that at the time. So we did that for about a year, just over a year. And then coming into our final exams, it was starting to get, very hectic for both of us. And the owner of the sports shop decided to, he kind of made us an offer, a very small offer, token kind of gesture, to say, look, I want to bring this back in-house now. You guys have got your exams. Some of you might want to go off and do something else after uni. So we kind of moved on from that point. But during that point, it was kind of just about when social media was starting. It wasn't anywhere near what it was today, but you could put a tweet up, or you could change your status on Facebook. You could have a Facebook page. The advertising was nowhere near. It was very early on. But that's kind of, I kind of started that with the company we had, and that's, I guess, my first interaction with marketing, and has led me to where I am today, I guess.
That's awesome. And so you asked before the interview, like a lot of guests, right? How did I find you, or kind of where did I go about? And on LinkedIn and learning more about, like, I get to be a stalker basically and get to see people who are interesting and kind of what their backgrounds are. And I saw, obviously, in your background experience, you had a passion for sports, and you just said, you were a captain of the rugby team and you kind of got involved in that. So how did, so you got involved in sports marketing, and you did work at Adidas. So I kind of want to ask you a bit about that experience. And is that the reason why you moved to the United Arab Emirates? Was for a job opportunity, or?
We finished uni, and it was kind of like, right, what's next? And luckily my mum, she'd left the RAF. She was out in Dubai working. So the option on the table was be unemployed in the UK or be unemployed out in Dubai. So I think that was a fairly simple one to take. So came out to Dubai, joined my mum and my two brothers who were already out here to look for a job. And I knew at that point, because of my interaction, with the sports companies, when we had that company, was I wanted to continue in sports. And straight away, I kind of reached out to the network I got in the UK, in Adidas in particular. I'm not too sure why, but it was always that brand that kind of captured me in, I guess, because they were probably the most active in rugby and football at the time. All my teams that I liked were sponsored by them. So it was just literally someone in the UK referred me to someone in Dubai. At the time I moved out to Dubai, there wasn't any jobs at that point. They said, wait 6 months, there's something opening up. So just did a few sales jobs until that point. And then, out of blue, after 6-8 months, Adidas gave me a call and said, look, we've got this position in sports marketing. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, definitely. This is exactly what I want to do. And that basically would entail, looking after sponsored assets and athletes within the region. So anyone from some of the footballers that were out here to some of the gym partners within the region that Adidas sponsored, to smaller grassroots events, tennis competitions, and that's really where that began. And I did 3 years at Adidas, looking after kind of all that regional sports marketing, and then Adidas sister company, Reebok, based in the same building, but there was an opportunity with them to kind of set up the fitness marketing. They just kind of broadened from the typical Reebok we know and gone a lot more into fitness at that point. There was an opportunity to set that up, more exposure to more countries. That was a kind of Middle East and African role. And yeah, I guess that's, continued that journey for 3 years with Reebok, and a fantastic company. I haven't really got a bad word to say about working for Adidas. It was a great company to work for. I had opportunities to go back to UK and kind of continue up that ladder. I just didn't want to leave Dubai. I became settled, met my wife at the time, we had a little boy, and it was just, for me, it just didn't make sense to go back. So kind of got to, I guess, as high as I could go, or as high as I wanted to go personally, within the company. I was like, right, what's next? And I guess luckily at that point, there was a company out here called OSN, which is a TV network, large TV network, a lot of sports rights, etc. So they were going aggressively after some of the sports content again, trying to get football back, Formula One, UFC, some golf events, and they were like, look, we need someone to head up this kind of sports marketing for us. So it's a kind of quite easy progression. It's, instead of marketing trainers, you're marketing a match or a TV page.
That's really interesting. It just seems like one thing, like all these opportunities we had are like kind of led from one thing to the next, and you're in the right
exactly.
place.
And then the next, the GymNation opportunity kind of came from that. So at that point, I'd never done any digital marketing. I'd never done really any. I'd looked at it, but I'd never done any Facebook ads. Never looked at e-commerce optimization, Google ads, all this kind of stuff that now is bread and butter. But we had an agency that we were working with at the time, and I wasn't too happy with their performance. So I was like, I think I can do a better job than this. So pretty much took it up immediately to learn how to do it. All of the Facebook lead ads was kind of a main one at the time. So learned how to do them, and then started to do it ourselves internally in house based on on learning that. So that's kind of where I started to get into a more technical side of the marketing as well.
It's really cool. And when you were talking about Adidas, I always forget that you say Adidas and like that cultural difference, right, between the US and the UK.
I worked there for 6 years. I'm still not sure how to say it. I say Adidas.
Yeah, most Brits do. I always forget that though, and that's kind of.
I think it is Adidas. But I'm still not sure. I mean, in the office, everyone used to call it, either or. So both work.
Yeah, right. But that kind of sparks a question that I just wanted to ask too. Not really necessarily marketing related, but you're from the UK and then you moved to the UAE. Like, how is that? Like, a totally different culture and a totally different experience. And how has that been for you?
I never had any doubts at all about moving over. I think I absolutely loved it from the moment I got here. My family were here. For the first, I've been here 10, 11 years now. My family were here for the first 4 or 5 years. I've kind of all moved back, all gone in different ways now. I absolutely love it here. And I can't really see myself and my family now moving back. We go back when we can, normally weddings, funerals or Christmases. But aside from that, the way of life out here, the lifestyle, how multicultural it is something that really suits us as a family, and we love it. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned GymNation before, so kind of obviously that's where you're working now, and we're going to talk a lot about that now. But I wanted to learn a bit more about how that came about, and explain to us a bit more about the company, why the company was founded, how it was founded, and why it's made such a big impact on the fitness market in the United Arab Emirates. Yeah,
absolutely. So I guess it all started with Lauren. So Lauren is the CEO of GymNation. He was working in private equity in the UK, moved over to a new role in the UAE, and he joined a gym, and that gym was, I don't know in euros, but it was equivalent of about £100 plus a month.
Wow.
Payment, but you had to pay that all up front. And he wasn't too impressed with the quality of that facility that he was getting for that money. With his private equity experience in the UK, he'd invested into a well-known budget gym operator there. So he was like, look, I kind of know how this works. I think there's a big opportunity here, very expensive pricing, substandard, quality of the facilities. But there's a bit of a gap in the market here to start an affordable, or, in what has turned out to be the region's first budget fitness chain.
And I was wondering, before you keep going, but just why do you have to pay up front? Like, I feel like that's a concept I never really heard of before when it comes to a gym.
Not really. I just guess it was more unsophisticated here. That you'd be amazed if you're in the UK or Europe or US and someone said that to you. Here, it was a given.
Wow.
So I guess that was a big opportunity here, and that's one of the reasons GymNation has done so well, is that flexibility and the Netflix model. We know that works so well, and that payment just comes off your card monthly, and you accept it's there, and it's less of an impact on you if it's not 1 point. Mm-hmm. So Lauren had this concept, and just about at the same time he met Frank, who's GymNation COO. I think they met at a garden party, and I think Frank was looking at doing something similar. So kind of those two worlds colliding, at perfect time. They managed to secure the investment and the first location. And I think I heard on the grapevine somewhere that they needed someone to come and support with the marketing side of a business. Got in touch with them, and they brought me on board just a couple of months after they met to kind of jump on board with the rollout of GymNation, and it went very well. Look, we all kind of complemented each other's skills well. Lauren's very financial and kind of business minded. Frank's operational and sales focused, and I step in and the marketing and systems kind of aspect. So as a three, we work fantastically together. And I think that showed in kind of the initial success that we've had.
Right. And it's been successful, no? And the UAE have been really well received.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I think we're now, we're number one in the UAE in terms of number of members. We're closing in on 50,000 members. And that's just, 3 years ago, literally, I think the 21st of June, 2018, we opened our first location. To now have 7 with 3 or 4 more coming this year is something we're very proud of, but it's not finished yet. We've got a long way to go.
Right. But for everyone tuning in, definitely check out, I looked at your websites, the facilities look amazing. It seems like you also emphasize a lot like group classes and stuff like that. No, so it's like, it really seems like a community that you guys.
Absolutely it is. I mean, about 30 to 40% of our members are brand new to health and fitness. So they've never been to a gym before. So we need to make it as welcoming and unintimidating as we can for everyone. So, all the kind of factors about 24/7 opening. It's a very transient country in Dubai. People travel all the time. People work, funny hours. So we give people the ability to access the gym whenever they want. As I said already, monthly payments, very low membership cost. So 99 to 199 dirhams a month, which at the time was and still is in a lot of cases a third or a quarter cheaper than majority of the other gym operators here. Group exercise classes are huge for us. All the Les Mills, body pump, body attack, body combat, and then Zumba, spinning. And we're constantly looking for new ideas as well to kind of satisfy that demand.
Right. So you talked a lot about like your audience, right? You have people that had never even been in a gym before, people that are looking for convenience. Now, so like from a marketing point of view, a lot of it, and I think we even mentioned a lot of big companies, right? Reebok and Adidas and Nike, they're all like known for their very empathetic and human-centered marketing campaigns. So how has marketing been crucial to GymNation's success? And like, how have you connected with the people that are interested in fitness and brought them in to the community?
I think obviously marketing underpins the success of most businesses, and in particular GymNation. Without the platforms that we have, it would have been a lot harder to get where we've got to. But I think you mentioned the big brands; those guys have big budgets and they can afford to do these campaigns that are very brand driven. There's an underlying message there, and they don't measure the ROI or the return or the number of leads they get off that because they don't need to. It plays well into what they're doing and ultimately leads to sales for them further down the line. For GymNation, when we started, our marketing budgets were so tight that we had to monitor and watch every dollar we spent to make sure that we're getting, X multiple number of dollars back. So that led us to be very focused on the marketing approach that we took. So we analyze everything still to this day, and especially at the start, it was okay, what ads are working, what images are working, what videos working, what content works, what messaging works. If it's not working, it gets turned off straight away. And we're very much doing similar stuff to what we were at the beginning, and we just keep refining it further and further because we know it works. And that tends to be, there's a big focus on price. The prices that we have are not available in this market, so that attracts people instantly.
Right.
But then now we're selling a lot on the quality of a product as well. Hardly any other gyms are open 24/7. Hardly any other gyms can fit 80, 90 people in their group exercise studios. Hardly any other gyms have no other gyms have the size and the number of equipment and piece of equipment that we've got. So a mixture of price and the product in our marketing is absolutely key.
Exactly. And basically selling what you have, great facilities and, access to fitness. And, you kind of have all the good things in your DNA that you just have to share with the world. It kind of seems like.
Exactly. And a problem is a lot of companies, I think they overcomplicate that. you know, we keep it very simple. Like I said, it hasn't changed too much since day one. You know, the gym's the same gym as it was 3 years ago. You know, the price is the same, but the products and the USPs are the same.
Right.
So we just kept that simple and communicated that nice and clearly. Whereas, you know, we see other people, other competitors, I guess, trying to do all these brand campaigns and get these underlying messages out. You know, let's be honest, we're in the business of generating leads, and we need as many leads as we can for every dollar that we spend on marketing.
Yeah, it's so important. Now, I hate talking about COVID-19 because it's all we hear about all the time, but COVID-19 really hit the fitness industry hard. I mean, in Spain, for example, we're locked up for 3 months and I got my fitness bands and YouTube videos, and it's all we could do to stay active. Now, how did GymNation pull through? I'm not sure like how the, you know, restrictions were in the UAE or anything like that, but how did you guys pull through? And then from like a marketing perspective, how did you stay connected with your customers?
So I think this has been the number one question we've been asked by any media within the last year and a half. And, you know, it's one that we've got a pretty good answer for. You know, we started last year before COVID with one gym and 10,000 members. You know, we ended that year in what was, you know, a very tough year for the industry and everyone else, but, you know, the fitness industry in particular. We ended it with 7 gyms and 40,000 members. So something went right. You know, and we're very proud of that. I think we ended up being closed for, I think it was 72 days in total. So obviously there was a revenue impact during that period. But what we're also proud of is we managed to keep all staff on full pay. We were one of the only gyms in the world to keep our full marketing spend on. And the way that we did that was by partnering with Les Mills On Demand, which is Les Mills' digital product. So they've invested $10 million plus into creating this world-class solution that offers you the ability to exercise in your garden, watching, you know, whilst you're watching instructors in the mountains of New Zealand. So we partnered with them. We kind of opened that up to everyone in the UAE for free.
Wow.
And it was very much, you know, register for here and you'll get a special offer as soon as we open. So we were able to sell in that special offer and kind of guarantee, you know, X amount of revenue we knew was coming as soon as those doors reopened. So I guess, you know, Les Mills played a very big part in that, in us being able to keep our marketing budgets on, keep all the staff employed. Yes, they were working from home, but we were able to kind of switch our systems very quickly to allow for that to happen.
Right. And it's interesting too, because I was going to ask you about kind of digital fitness. A lot of people, because of the pandemic, have realized, hey, like I don't need to go to a gym and I can work out from home and do that. So has that like impacted your approach to marketing? And like you really emphasize, I think, a lot connecting with the people. So like has that kind of shifted in the way of like how you approach marketing nowadays?
I think we look at what happened last year, and everyone was coming out and saying gyms are dead. You know, no one's going to go back to the gym again. I don't know if you know Joe Wicks in the UK, but he was doing all these online classes, and that's what all these, you know, so-called industry experts were saying. But we were sitting there thinking nothing replaces that feeling of doing a live, you know, class with 90 people in the room, or having access to that level and amount of equipment. So we were always fairly confident that it would return. And I think we saw that immediately after opening our doors. You know, everyone was obviously dying to get back, but we also saw a whole new, I guess, cohort of members that had never really been that bothered about health and fitness before, but suddenly realized, you know, if I was a little bit healthier, if I was a little bit fitter, I'm going to live longer, I'm less susceptible to catching COVID. So it hasn't really changed the way we're marketing. I guess we're just marketing to a wider base now, and we're probably getting a little bit more interest off that base than we would have before.
And one thing I really I found interesting when I was looking at the website and learning more about GymNation was the emphasis on being known as the people's gym. I read too, like that in the UAE, gyms are more individual, like bodybuilding, and more intimidating for people. And you guys really have focused on making it a place that's welcoming for everybody from all different fitness levels, backgrounds, and everything. Now, I was interested because you guys do a lot of community work as well, and I wanted to know, like, how has GymNation given back to the community, and how has your mission, to be the people's gym, impacted your marketing?
So I think, you know, in starting GymNation, we wanted to replicate, I guess, what the UAE does for expats here. So the UAE makes everyone feel welcome, and makes them feel at home. And we wanted GymNation to have that same effect for our members. So using the people's gym as our kind of motto meant that we wanted to do something back to the communities in which we operate. And I think we have done that fairly well. We obviously started out marketing on these big platforms and generated leads. But as we've grown, more specifically this year, we started heavily investing time into these communities. One such example is a fantastic partnership with a non-for-profit charity out here called Heroes of Hope. And they provide children and young adults who have Down syndrome or different levels of autism with the opportunity to kind of excel through fitness. So, every day, those guys are in the gym doing classes. We've taken 3 of them on board as interns. So they come in every Monday and do a range of tasks from helping pick up weights to checking people's temperature at reception to even some office work now. We love having the guys around, and that's something we're very passionate and want to continue. As well as, now we're going into kind of looking at grassroots events. So how can we support the next generation of, ultimately gym goers, the 12, 13, 14-year-olds that are, in a few years going to be looking to the gym. How can we start to relate to them, whether it's sponsor their hockey team, their rugby team, sponsor some events that they might be going to. So taking, spend away from social media and invest it into the others, these other avenues where we probably don't see the return, or we definitely don't see the return. We don't see that immediate return, but a feeling we get as an entity, as a business, and the long-term impact that has outweighs any return we might get off social media ads, for example.
Yeah, that's great. And I think one thing I'm getting from the interview and from talking with you is this kind of how much passion and, just the community that you're in. Because you mentioned, I think that was really cool, how the UAE is a welcoming place and a diverse place, and we want our gym to be the same. And that's really kind of driven your marketing career. No, you're passionate about something and you want to share that with the world around you. I think that's really
absolutely
cool.
Look, I think we're up against multinational competitors who are very well known throughout the world, and I think they've lost touch, a lot of them, with the people, with their members. We wanted to always have that touch, always have that connection. We sit daily inside the gyms, in the cafes, in the gyms. We're there to speak to the members if needed. That's fair, and we want that close connection and that close bond with the community and the members to continue.
And also you mentioned too, how the UAE, everyone has these crazy schedules and people where it's 24/7, right? And I wanted to know, what's a typical day like at work for you, and what are some of your day-to-day responsibilities?
A typical day at work. So like to try and work out before. Got no excuse really when you work in a gym for not going to the gym. So I like to get in a little bit earlier, 6ish maybe, do a session, maybe a CrossFit session or a weight session typically. After that, it's very much, check what's going on. So we've got a lot of automation within the business, a lot of dashboards. So it would be review those dashboards, everything from marketing, but also linking into the sales figures and other data that we get. So review all that. Any key takeaways on that, or any action that's needed, will be taken there. And then throughout the day, it's just kind of dealing with what comes up. Luckily, and I appreciate this a lot, is that I don't just really do marketing. We all get involved in everyone else's tasks. So, whether it's improving the website or, training for the sales staff, or, cleaning up the gym, we still get involved with that where we can. So the day is completely unpredictable after that.
It's so important too, that collaboration. Marketing wouldn't be anything without sales or without operations. It all goes hand in hand. So it's really cool.
It all goes hand in hand, but then marketing always gets blamed when sales aren't there. So that's the bit where the hands untie, I guess.
Yeah, and I saw it too, on your website. You had videos and audiovisual marketing that you guys use. Do you have any tips for people that want to be working with videos as a form of marketing?
I think again, it comes back to that keep it simple methodology. I think people overcomplicate with videos. I think, look, we've got a variety of videos. We've got some fairly standard. This is a group exercise class, for example. There's only so many ways you can present that, and there's been that many of them done. It's going to be very hard to do something unique. I think where we've done very well is we've come up with some very unique video concepts that we've used in our marketing, and we've done all that kind of internally. Three of us usually sit together and bash ideas around, and then within a couple of days the video's made. So I think the fun and the uniqueness has to be there, and for us it's also about being edgy, pushing the limits a little bit of what's possible. A lot of the stuff that we've done is potentially on that line. We don't think it's gone too far at all, but it's also stuff that hasn't been seen out here. No one's really, I guess, dared to do that before in our industry. So a lot of people are like, whoa, what are you guys doing? But at the same time, whoa, we love what you're doing.
It's cool. Yeah. And I think a big theme from a lot of the people I've had on the show are like what you've been saying. So keep it simple. And also being unique. But I think nowadays we're so things can get convoluted, right? With so much things online. We have access to all these different things. And I think a lot of people forget to keep it simple and show people your passion and your mission. That's what people are going to be attracted to. But also being unique and being different and fun. I think that's
absolutely. Really, I think it's very easy to overcomplicate things. Especially when you're filming. You need to bring in a full production team and actors and all of this. And whilst we have a fantastic agency that we work with for our video content, a lot of the most successful videos we've had have been filmed on an iPhone in a spur of a moment when we're not expecting that content to be there. So I think it's having the nice shiny videos, the shop window of a brand, and they're very presentable, but also being ready and not afraid to have something that's a bit wobbly maybe on the screen. If the content's good, it will still work. You don't have to worry about that.
Now, I always ask this question about what advice would you give someone starting out? And I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to someone starting out in marketing, but particularly in sports marketing? Because for our audience, in general, we have people who are involved, right, and working in marketing, but also people who are just curious and maybe might want to take the next step in their career. So what advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start out?
I think the first one is kind of follow your passion. This is quite commonly said, but if you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel particularly like work. And, don't get me wrong, there's some days where you have a bad day and it's a nightmare, but overall 98% of the time it's because I'm in fitness, and even if I wasn't at GymNation and we didn't start GymNation, I'd still go to the gym. I'd still be involved in that kind of community. So try and get involved in something you're passionate about, whether it's football, rugby, athletics, tennis. There's a huge amount of sports jobs within those industries, but you can follow from marketing to finance. Even if you have that passion for sport and finance, you can still go down that route. So I guess follow your passion is probably the first one, and then coming back to what I just said is drop perfection. Too many people I think hold on to that and wait too long to launch stuff or to do stuff because they're trying to get it absolutely perfect. Not much that we do at GymNation is perfect in any way. We make a huge amount of mistakes, but we kind of just do it. We do it. We learn as we go, and we learn from those mistakes, I guess, as we're going. And that holds back a lot of people. It takes so long to get perfection. In the meantime, you could have made 10, 15 mistakes by just doing it and made it even better.
What happens? Yeah. And what is perfection, right? I don't know. It's a concept that's kind of, I don't know. It's weird. It's built by society.
I mean, and that's the thing, so I guess one aspect of marketing is no matter who you speak to, if I show you an image, okay, a marketing creative, for example, no matter who I ask in the world, there would be 6-7 billion different opinions on that image.
Exactly.
And who's to say any one of those is right or wrong? So just get it up, get it done, and see what happens when that's.
And we're all human, right? So we're all unique. So we have to capitalize on our uniqueness. If not, the world will be very boring.
Exactly. Yeah. I 100% agree. I think the final one for me would be, learn to say sorry. I guess ask for, ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah.
And it comes back to that just doing it, but you're so much quicker. One of the reasons why GymNation has been so successful so far is we're very agile. We don't need to go through layers and layers of approvals. The three of us and sometimes even some of the site managers just get on and do stuff. It's very quick. Whereas, even in some of the companies that I've worked in before, you have to go through these approvals, you have to get sign off, you have to get the finance team to approve the invoice, then it has to be paid, and suddenly you're at a week or two of lost time, lost sales, lost leads, etc. So again, it comes back to all encompassing, but just do it.
For sure. Now, before we talked about your kind of daily routine and going to the gym in the morning and having that, but do you have any other daily habits that you would attribute to your success that you think would be useful for our audience?
I guess just kind of keep a routine there. And my wife hates me for this, but I kind of don't really turn off. It's very much, in the morning, get up, check everything's okay, action anything that's not, and then move on. And a bit OCD when it comes to like my kind of email inbox. Like I won't leave if I've got emails still unread, for example. I like them to be clear. My WhatsApp chats clean. It's kind of the only things in my inbox are stuff I've got to action. So I think, that organization for me is key. I guess that's probably my biggest daily habit is to keep that organization there. Everything else falls into place, I guess.
It's important to stay organized because we also can get very distracted if you're not on top of things. Things get lost, in the
100%. I mean, one of my colleagues the other day, he was showing me something on his computer and he minimized the screen and his desktop. Oh my God, I had anxiety. He had probably hundreds of icons on his desktop.
That freaked me out.
Yeah, no, 100%. I was like, "What are you doing, mate? Like that's got to go. Look at my desktop. There's 2 icons there, and that's
all you need." Yeah, exactly. Now, someone that is passionate about sports and works in the industry, I'm sure you have like a professional role model or a source of inspiration. So, for you, like, who inspires you, or what inspires you?
To be honest, I don't think I necessarily have one. I appreciate what people do. I look at the likes of, I guess, Ben Francis, who started Gymshark. I find that's incredible what he's done. And the way that they're marketing and the way that they've grown is extremely impressive. But I guess overall, there's not too many people that I look up to. It's kind of the industry as a whole. I listen to a lot of podcasts myself. Some technical, I guess Neil Patel, he's very technical on kind of the SEO side of stuff.
Right.
To more business leaders and the entrepreneur kind of side of stuff. So I wouldn't say there's one role model that I look up to. I say there's a number of multiple people that kind of you learn from and inspire you along the way as well.
And as someone that's organized, I'm sure you have certain apps or tools or I don't know, books or something that have helped you become more organized and kind of keep your life in order. So do you have any recommendations or like apps or tools that could help people kind of get more organized?
So aside from the obvious, I mean, without WhatsApp, we wouldn't be anywhere. I know a lot of people use Slack, but we've continued to build the business on WhatsApp. It just seems nice and easy. I think what else? There's one called Asana, which is very similar to Trello, project management tool. So we've got web developers that are not within the office in another country. We've got CRM developers and app developers that are within another country. So the way we manage that and kind of pending, completed and in progress tasks is through this Asana tool. Fantastic tool, gives you ability to kind of create flows. I'm not on any referral fee, affiliate fee, I can guarantee it. But if you if you want to manage teams and want to manage tasks, something like that is very clear. It makes it a lot easier to do. And in terms of other app software, I guess for marketing, it's the usual, the Facebook, the SEM Rush, Google Analytics, Search Console, etc. And then we've got our own CRM, which has all the other business aspects on, which we've developed, which new sales, defaults, etc.
That's great. So we actually come to the end of the interview. Before we sign off, I always ask the guests, do you have any final takeaway from this conversation that you would like to highlight, for the people listening?
I think it just comes back to what we discussed earlier is I guess the one message, just keep it simple and do and get on with it. But for me, that's underpinned a lot of what we've done, not just in marketing, but in everything else within the business. So that's my 1-2 tips. I'd
stick to the basics, basically. And you mentioned some platforms and stuff, but another question I always ask is if people wanted to get in touch with you or to follow you, where are you active?
So funny about it, and people always laugh at this. I don't actually have any other. I've got Facebook, but I don't actually have any other social media platforms. So I don't have my own personal Instagram. So it would be only LinkedIn. Or if you want to follow GymNation on Instagram, it's GymNation_UAE. Same on Facebook as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ant, for your time and for sharing your insights with us. And I also want to thank everyone listening in. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe or also now in the Middle East, check out veracontent.com/mix and keep tuning into the podcast for more interviews with content experts from all over the globe. See you all next time. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.